Shake and bake, baby. Shake and bake.
Shake.
Hey, if we were Talladega Nights, who would be Will Ferrell and who would be John C. Reilly in our relationship? That's what I'm wondering.
No, I want to be. I want to be the girl that gets in between them. What's her name? Carly. I want to be Carly.
You want to be Carly?
Yes.
So now we gotta have somebody else be. But that's unfair to like put somebody else in the John. I'd obviously be Will Ferrell. I mean, come on.
Obviously, you're the best.
I mean, I'm funny. I'm good looking.
Yeah.
I'm
stupid.
I have like a linear way of looking at life that is very small-minded. You know, all the things that go into being a great race car driver.
Yeah. No, I'll be Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah,
he was in it.
He wasn't. He was one of the main characters at the. Was he? He wasn't. His car wasn't even racing though. That's the weird thing. Like.
No, he was just there to get a picture with him.
Yeah, but I don't know whether he was supposed to be like this is an alternate reality that instead of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and like Jimmy Johnson and like some of those guys being in it because they never had those guys in the movie. It was like no, now instead we have Dennett Racing. But Zach knows less about NASCAR history, so I'm not gonna like bore him with all the details.
Or you guys.
What was going on in 2006 in NASCAR? I mean, I don't really know what was going on in 2006 in NASCAR either, because I don't really remember it. But I know Jimmy Johnson won the championship that year.
Good job, Jimmy Johns.
He won like 5 in a row after that year, I think.
The only thing I know about Jimmy Johns is the sandwich.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good sandwich. I heard. I know.
You haven't had it?
I mean, Jimmy John's
Jimmy
like
John's
the sub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
Okay.
Actually, honestly, you know what? I'm lying. Jimmy John's is not that good.
What?
Like, there's so many better sub places you can go than Jimmy John's. Anytime I've ever had Jimmy John's,
Are you
I've
about
been
to say Subway?
This is
Ugh.
like lunch meat and like lettuce that you can get from like iceberg lettuce that you get from the store and like a subpar bun. Go to Subway or Jersey. I mean,
Did you just say Subway?
I said Subway over Jimmy John's.
That's
yes.
disgusting. Subway's so much worse. When you say iceberg lettuce, that's way worse at Subway.
I mean, I know, but like at least Subway has like meatballs. I mean, maybe it's just I haven't gotten into a
frozen tofu meatballs that haven't been fully cooked ever.
No, Subway's good, and Jersey Mike's probably like the best one, the best like non. Fancy. I mean,
I like Firehouse subs.
I've never been there.
That's pretty good.
That's probably that's probably pretty
It's better
good.
than Subway.
I would go to Subway in a heartbeat.
I like Subway.
I mean, there was one time that like I went to Subway after a basketball game and then I like spent all night throwing up, and I didn't eat Subway for a while after that. But now I'm back to I would eat Subway
because you don't play basketball.
Yeah. Oh, you had to hit me right in the heart.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're reviewing Talladega Nights. The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, directed by Adam McKay in the year 2006. It was made with a mere $72.5 million and it grossed $163.4 million, so pretty successful. And it got a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I feel like is like halfway decent for a dumb comedy. You know, dumb comedies don't fare well on Rotten Tomatoes.
Compare this to Step Brothers. What did that get?
Let's see. Step Brothers, Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, let's see. Step Brothers got, drum roll please, 55%.
So that did worse than this.
What did the other guys do? The other guys is like the third movie in a row that this guy made. It didn't have John C. Reilly in it though. It had Mark Wahlberg. This was the best one of all. They got 78%.
Is that The Rock?
Yeah. The Rock made like I feel like you would know this scene. Like the opening scene is like iconic.
What is it?
They drive through the streets and then they like jump off the skyscraper and die. It's like The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. I'll have to show you it after this. It's a pretty good scene. Anyway, Adam McKay is known for making some pretty legendary comedies. I've never seen Anchorman, but that was his first movie. Then he follows it up with this movie, and then he's got Step Brothers and The Other Guys, which are both fairly well-known comedies. And then The Campaign, which I've seen the cover of, but I don't hear people talk about it that much. Then Anchorman 2, and then he did Get Hard with Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart. And then he wrote... Wait, actually he didn't do that. He just produced that. Never mind. scratch that. He wrote Ant-Man after Edgar Wright left or something. He was involved with it somehow as a writer. And then he did The Big Short and Vice, which are both dark comedies. And now he's making this movie called Don't Look Up, which is another black comedy. Well, honestly, I don't know whether I'd call them black comedies. I mean, Vice was more of a historical, like, it was almost a documentary, but it wasn't. Christian Bale played like a 60-year-old guy. I don't know. It was about Dick Cheney. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, but I feel like Adam McKay, people, like, is somebody who everyone knows the movies that he's made, but they don't recognize the name. So I'm just going through and giving you a background of who he is.
Well, yeah, it seems like most of his movies have Will Ferrell in the main role.
Will Ferrell, and then he switches to, and Steve Carell are like mainstays in his movies.
Which other one is Steve Carell the main one in?
Well, I don't. He's maybe not ever the main one, but he's always like a side guy, like in The Big Short and Vice.
Okay.
And then
also Anchorman.
Recently, Christian Bale has been in two of them. And then now he's working with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, so he's kind of moving on. I think he started doing a more serious comedies. I don't know how that works, but
stick to what you're good at.
They're less dumb. Vice got nominated for an Academy Award, so yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was that good. It was fine, but it wasn't like Academy Award worthy. It was kind of boring, but kind of interesting at the same time.
Nothing's Academy Award worthy.
Yeah, nothing that has been nominated for Academy Awards should have won. Let's just be honest. Except for No Country for Old Men, obviously.
Sure. I can agree with that. I don't care.
So, Botch, Watch, or Top Notch?
Watch.
That's Watch. I'm tempted.
You're tempted to give it Top Notch?
No, I'm not. I lied.
I'm not tempted.
The only possible reason you could is if you were like, oh, this is like one of the best comedies ever, but I don't even really think you could say that. It's not really that funny.
No, I found myself laughing, but it was like every other scene.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, it's like cheap comedy.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, oh, why did I laugh at that? But it was like funny, which is sometimes kind of a fun thing to watch.
Well, I like the awkward situations. That's why my favorite part was when Ricky Bobby and what's his friend's name? John C. Reilly guy. They were talking and he's like, hey, one of these times do you think you could let me win? And he goes, well, I could, but I don't know, because then how would I win? He goes, oh, you're right. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to win anyway.
Yeah.
Silver medal's good. And then I love when Ricky Bobby's like, yeah, bury it deep down and don't ever bring it up again. I was like, he's like laughing this off, but it's actually kind of a dark thing to suggest. So the plot of this movie is pretty easy. Ricky Bobby is a kid who's born literally in a speeding car down the highway, and he just wants to go fast. As a kid, he just says, I want to go fast, I want to go fast. And he's got some daddy issues because his dad is only there when he's born. When he's 10 years old, he comes to career day and tells him to always be first and never be last, which inspires him to pursue a racing career. And then he's working on a pit crew when the driver of the 26 car quits to go take a whiz, and then they need a new driver, so Ricky Bobby volunteers. After that, it just all sort of goes well, and he wins several races. He meets a lovely young lady who is just of the highest standards, and they
Carly, me.
She's obviously looking for him for his like personality and character and stuff.
Yeah.
Not his money at all. And he buys this big mansion. He has his best friend. He has two sons, Walker and Texas Ranger.
Call him TR.
Call him TR for short. Yep. And yeah, so everything's going great for Ricky until Jean Girard shows up. Although it didn't make sense to me. Why did Jean Girard break his arm? It didn't make sense.
Why?
Well, like, he broke his arm, but like nobody really got that mad at him, Like, couldn't you sue somebody for like breaking your arm like that, or like,
Probably.
But I guess he didn't. I don't know. It was weird.
Well, I think John Girard he's like waiting for his consent, because he's like, do it, and he's like, I didn't think you'd do it or something.
And of course they bring in John Girard to be sort of the like like the opposite, of what Ricky Bobby is. He's like sort of effeminate, and French, and fancy, which is like completely opposite of the unrefined Southern taste that Ricky Bobby has, eating Donatos and KFC at every meal and so forth. So
yeah, there's a scene where John Gerard, right?
Yeah,
he's driving and he's like drinking a macchiato and he spills it, like, you spilled my macchiato.
Yeah, and so they go back and forth, but apparently Jean Girard's pretty good. He was an F1 racer, and so it starting to get harder and harder for Ricky to win. Well, there's one fateful race where Ricky can't use the slingshot tactic that his teammate Cal Naughton Jr. and I looked at how it was spelled. It's not Norton, it's Naughton, like Naughton. Cal Naughton Jr. His engine blows, so he doesn't have any help. So he's trying to get around Jean Girard, and he just can't. And then he wrecks his car, and it goes flying. And he's fine after the wreck, but he thinks he's on fire, and he strips all the way down.
But he's not, and his
skivvies, and he's just running around.
There's one like shows him in a full suit. Then it like the next clip, he's like in his underwear, and some guy goes, "How did he strip down so fast?"
It was like out of nowhere. And so because of this, he winds up in the hospital, and then his teammates, like his crew chief and Cal, come over and try to revive him. Although the things that people tell him when he's in a coma, his wife wants to pull the plug, and the doctor's like, he's just
taking a nap. She goes, I've never heard him make that sound, and he's just yawning. She's like, I want you to pull the plug,
which shows you more about her character. And then Cal tells some weird story that's kind of
about him being naked, basically.
Yeah,
and some other stuff.
And he had like a alter alias as Mike Honcho.
And he's like, I just want you to know that if this can get into your brain, I just wanted to tell you that story.
And later he calls him Mike Honcho, so it must have gotten into his brain. But anyway, he doesn't think he can walk, but it's all in his head. So they try to convince him that he can walk, and then he's like, no, I can't walk, and he stabs himself with a knife.
To try to prove a point.
And then he finds out it hurts, and he gets up because he's in pain, and then he realizes he can walk again. But
then what's that guy's name?
What is the crew chief's name?
Yeah, the crew chief is like, they're trying to help him get the knife out, and he sticks another knife in, and he's like, let's pry this knife out with this knife. So now he has two knives in his knee, and they're prying out the first knife with another knife. FYI, if you're listening, you should not take a knife out if you're stabbed. Leave it there.
Yeah, wait for the medical professionals. They'll figure out what to do.
It could be the only thing saving your life at the time.
That's true, because now correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because if you pull it out, the blood will start gushing out, and you might lose blood. Mm-hmm. And so it's like sort of acting as a scab. Wouldn't be what you think. Obviously, you don't want to have a knife in you, but
it's better than nothing.
Better than nothing, yeah.
Let's pry it out.
I forget who plays the I'm trying to figure out who plays the crew chief, because he's actually a really funny guy. Michael Clark Duncan plays Lucius Washington, who's the crew chief. I don't know who I feel like I've seen this guy before. He looks so familiar. But I've never watched him.
He's in the original Daredevil.
He's in Kung Fu Panda. That must be what I recognize.
And the Green Lantern. And Planet of the Apes.
I've definitely watched Green Lantern. I said that sarcastically.
It's good. Stop. Ryan Reynolds was great.
Ryan Reynolds is in it. It can't be bad. Isn't it? He played two superheroes?
That failed.
What? Deadpool didn't fail?
The first Deadpool failed.
Really?
Not the first movie. You X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, he was in that?
Yeah, he played Deadpool in that.
I didn't realize.
And it was horrible. So then at the end, the post-credit scene of Deadpool 1 or 2, he goes and shoots the old Deadpool in the X-Men movie and says that was a mistake or something like that.
Huh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so he started out as Deadpool, and then they're like, let's redo Deadpool, but do it right, and they casted him again.
Huh.
But now it's a satirical role instead of a super serious role where he's mute.
What? How did he even play Deadpool if he was mute?
I don't know.
Because he has a mask on. It's like, why did they cast Ryan Reynolds?
He wasn't even wearing a mask. He wasn't wearing red. You should look him up right now, Ben, and just say X-Men Origins Wolverine or Deadpool. Look,
this
Deadpool.
is kind of blowing my mind.
He looked horrible. Look at images. It doesn't look like that. That's what he looked like.
Oh man,
The first photo right there is the scene.
that's
He
bad.
has no mouth, and they just drew Sharpie on him.
That's real bad.
I know.
That is.
And then look at the fight. So
That
dumb.
looks like a lame fight.
So then Deadpool, in one of his movies, in the post-credit scene, goes and shoots that Deadpool.
That must be like this. I don't know. Yeah, that I had no idea that was the case. That is.
It's not worth watching. Just watch.
I'm gonna
YouTube
go
video
watch
about it.
X-Men Origins just to see that. Just to see that, you know.
Did you know they meant to do more X-Men Origins movies, starting out with Wolverine, but that one did so bad. They were gonna do Mystique next, but they canceled it.
I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But like Logan did really well, so they must have just like fixed their
Mm-hmm.
model. I mean, the X-Men movies, from my understanding, which I haven't watched them because it's one of those things where you have to go back and watch everything in order, and that sort of is like daunting.
Yeah.
But my understanding was that some of them are really good and some of them are like not that good.
Yeah.
Or not, maybe really good's not the right word, but some of
The
them
original,
are good.
the second one, and then Days of Future Past and First Class are good. And then I'd say Dark Phoenix, X-Men 3, The Last Stand, and Apocalypse are pretty bad. And X-Men
Yeah.
Origins Wolverine. The original Wolverine's pretty good too. That's really it. I think that's all of them.
All right. I'm trying to think where we were in the movie. Now that we have gotten into a sidetrack about Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool.
Oh, we were talking about that he was stabbing himself in the leg.
Oh yeah, so this got us to Ryan Reynolds. Anyway, so he's scared to get back in his car, so he basically gets fired and is working as a pizza deliverer, and his wife leaves him and goes for Cal because she wants to go with whoever's going to be the top driver. Again, her character was obviously a red flag from the beginning, and this just shows that like more. So he goes back to live with his mom, and then his dad shows up and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna teach you how to drive." Brings a cougar and puts a cougar in the car with him, and by cougar I mean like the animal,
Like a real one.
like a real one, not like a you. Those of you who know what I'm talking about, and shame on you. So that's just like to calm down his fear. His sons are retrained by their grandma to be more respectful of people, and things are seemingly going along well until his dad leaves again at after the Applebee's because everything's going too perfectly, so he can't stay.
Yeah.
And this is after the whole crack incident where he like ties crack cocaine to the bottom of his car, makes him run away from the police, and then he realizes it's just crushed up Lucky Charms.
But at that point, he's ready. He knows he can race.
Yeah. So then he leaves because everything's going too smoothly. And then, finally, we see Ricky Bobby run into his assistant Susan at a bar, and she kind of whips him into shape and gets him ready to race.
And kisses him.
Yeah, she kisses him. Maybe more than once.
Yeah, maybe twice.
And then they go to the race. He and Cal sort of make up, which gets in his head because Cal is trying to be like a competitor, and then Ricky's over here apologizing to him. And then he decides to help Ricky out in the race, which is great until he and Jean Girard wreck. So then they have to literally run to the finish line. And the funny thing about the wreck is that there was like, this wreck is the longest wreck ever. Let's go to commercial break and then we'll come back. And it's like an Applebee's commercial. No, I thought that was really funny.
There's like 9 Applebee's ads in this movie.
There's so many advertisements in this movie.
Yeah.
And finally they get back to
Yeah, Ricky Bobby barely wins. And actually neither of them win because they're not allowed to get out of their cars like that. So the third place becomes first place, and that's Cal Naughton Jr. And this is his first win ever. It's on a technicality, but who cares? And then they go, his dad saw the race, and they ride off into the sunset, and everybody's happy. You know? That's pretty much it. It was a good movie.
Solid comedy, for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't get an outsider review, so while we're looking for that.
The thing is, this movie, like, is so many people's favorite comedy or like top favorite movie of all time. Like, I know a lot of people that have suggested this movie to watch. I'm like, to watch for the not only for the podcast but also in like real life. like before we even started the podcast, people were like, "Have you seen Talladega Nights?" Or it's like a cult classic, kind of. I'd say.
Yeah, this is like so when the college I go to, this movie has always been referenced as a really funny one, and then like Hot Rod, like both of those movies are like the movies that people go to as comedies that are like really funny.
Another one that's referenced a lot is Step Brothers, which came out 2 years later,
Yeah.
and it's exactly the same, pretty much.
Exactly the same as this movie.
But I think Step Brothers is better, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean this is really interesting because, well, maybe we'll talk about Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly later and their careers.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, you know, if you're gonna drive a NASCAR, you're gonna need some car insurance.
Ooh, that one was right on the nose.
Yeah, we didn't get too creative with that one. So call Hedman Anglin Agency before you start your NASCAR team, and they'll get you hooked up with some insurance. Call 614-486-7300. That's 614-486-7300. We should come up with some sort of jingle.
That'd be cool. Or music video like Badlands Chugs does
Maybe
with
we
his
should like
Manscaped ads.
maybe we should like record a like ad to just like put in the middle, and we can have it's just like the same thing every time, and then we switch it up every once in a while. Although we've never switched our Anchor ad up, so there'd be no. That still says the Movie Vault podcast is now sponsored by Anchor, and it's like been
the
like,
easiest way to make a podcast.
and it is the easiest way to make a podcast, which is why so many people use it.
Yep. And why it's like free.
And why we've made so much coin. I'm telling you, we're bathing in it. Bitcoin. You know, I was thinking maybe we should just invest all of our money that we've made on the ads, which is not a lot, by the way. It's not like we're making a whole lot.
I mean, we're making like what? Like
in
2
like-
mil?
2 mil, 3 mil.
Yeah.
We should put it all in cryptocurrency.
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin or like Ethereum or something like that.
That'd be crazy. And then
And what if we just made a ton of money off of that, and then it was like our podcast wasn't even that successful, and we just made a bunch of money, you know?
Yeah, but we could have did that with other funds.
That's true.
There would
But
be
it's
no
like
need for the podcast.
sort of like a mental thing, you know?
I guess. Like we need another income, but we don't want to spend our lunch money this week. You know,
Yeah.
So let's spend a year doing a podcast and earn $50 or whatever. You know.
Yeah, and then we'll use that money to you're right. That would be such a long amount of labor to
Yeah.
put into cryptocurrency.
It would be if you did DoorDash, you'd make 20,000 times that.
Okay, let's stop talking about how bad our business model is. So the quote of this movie is by Jean Girard. He's in a heated discussion with Ricky Bobby, and he says, "No, I will battle you with the entirety of my heart, and you will probably lose, but maybe, just maybe, you might challenge me. God needs the devil, the Beatles need the Rolling Stones, even Diane Sawyer needed Katie Couric. Will you be my Katie Couric?"
Yes.
And
Yes,
then,
Ben.
he will. I don't even know who Katie Couric is, I'm going to be honest.
Look it up.
I was like, this quote seems really good, but...
Television journalist.
So, I need... Who's the other person? Diane Keaton.
They're probably competing journalists.
I feel like this was a joke that was like ahead of, like, I'm too young to understand.
It looks like they hated each other.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Wow.
They accused each other of many things.
Yeah, this looks like it might be a...
Let's just say the Hatfields and McCoys for now.
Yeah. They said some not so nice things about each other, is what it seems like.
Or Applebee's and Ruby Tuesdays.
But that probably also is what kept them popular.
Or... what other matchups? The Simpsons and Family Guy.
I've never seen an episode of The Simpsons.
Wow, that's depressing for you.
But I have seen a couple episodes of Family Guy, so right now Family Guy's winning in my book.
Family Guy's funnier. Simpsons is classic, though.
Yeah. Let's see.
Pete Davidson and Idris Elba.
Movie Mom gave this a negative review, so I think we should read her. The disappointment of this movie is not that we don't see enough of Will Ferrell. It's disappointing because of what we see. We've seen before, and better. I think I butchered that a little bit, but basically she's saying that it's just every Will Ferrell movie except for not as good. And she would be kind of disappointed because there was more of this to come in the future.
Ah, sorry, movie mom.
Her name's Nell Minogue. She's a top critic.
Nell Minogue, the movie mom. That's a tongue
What?
twister. What?
Wait, Kicking and Screaming? Oh, this is a different Kicking and Screaming. See, there's this Noah Baumbach movie called Kicking and Screaming that I love because it's about these college students who are like graduated and they like still live in the apartment that they lived in college and they haven't moved on, and it was like really struck a nerve with me because I was like, oh man, that would be crazy if that happened.
But you also just started college. So
yeah, and I hope
fine.
that doesn't happen. I'm not an English major, so it shouldn't happen. That's what I got out of that film.
Ooh, burn listeners who are English majors. We're not even gonna apologize for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got yourself into it, okay?
Let's not
Have a good time with your sales job.
Or music majors.
Music majors? That's even worse. Everybody I've met who's been a music major is like in business administration.
Aww.
Or like communications major.
Ben and I are so much better than everyone.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta feel good about ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
For not being in those fields.
Or art.
Or art. That's why we critique art, because we're like, why would you ever do that?
Could we get a degree in podcasting?
I'm sure we could.
Things.
I mean, I think you could get a degree in communications and then like specialize in podcasting.
Okay.
The thing about podcasting is I think it matters less if you're good at talking and more if people know who you are.
Somewhat.
And then like connect with you on some level.
Yes, connection.
Because they'll forgive you if you're like if you are kind of dumb or whatever. If they're like, oh, I relate to this guy, you know. That's what they want.
Because I'm dumb too.
And I know that, but we just can't get people to relate to us. So.
Well, that's always been a struggle for me. So yeah.
So welcome to. It would be really funny if we were like, oh, we're the Movie Vault, and we're gonna make a podcasting, like how to podcast thing and sell it. So like we make a webinar and everything about how to make a podcast.
Too many people.
And it's like, but we're not successful at all. So
then we get
successful from doing like a webinar and stuff of how to start a podcast.
That'd be ironic.
I know. That's what I want to do, and then expose like everyone else who does it, but also get rich because I'm doing it. But I'm doing it ironically, so that makes it okay.
So really, we're just comedians.
Yeah, that's my plan.
So what would be the next thing that we do? We would
Something
have to
else.
do another big ironic stunt. That
That's
would be
true.
hard to do. On the next level.
I say the next thing we do is do the game.
Ben,
After that,
we're too meta to keep going level up. We don't have that much power.
But the thing is, you have to be like, you have to make people think you're self-aware, and then you like go so self-aware that you're like back to being dumb. So it's like, so you don't know whether it's a bit or not because you keep just like going around in circles in this whole, meta ironic thing.
Sure. Let's see how many people we get with that.
2 people maybe.
Gen X, all of Gen X.
Well, maybe we just belong to the wrong generation.
We should be doing this in the 60s.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so ahead of its time.
Hey, you see?
Yeah.
Newspapers for sale. I don't know.
News. Did you know that the news is telling you lies? No.
The war
Pulitzer's
is
telling
over.
us the truth.
We say the war
That's
is
like-
over, and we're like, which one? World War II or World War I? They're like, there's a second World War? I mean, that wouldn't be the 60s, but you know what I mean.
Wait, which one's over? World War I or World War II? No, World War IV is over. What?
There's a World War III?
We're counting Vietnam as World War III.
No, we're
because
counting...
the Vietnam War ruined everything. Hot take. Because there was like the sexual revolution and like the hippie movement, and then the Vietnam War. That totally destroyed the entire country right there.
That was a lot. I remember that.
You remember that? I remember that too. Yeah, because Zach and I are just like time variants, so we can kind of go wherever we
I'm a
want.
low-key variant.
We're in an apocalyptic time zone right now.
So the TVA can't find us.
I mean, that's a little bit disconcerting for whoever's listening to this, because like wherever we are, there's about to be an apocalypse. So.
Yeah, but that should be more disconcerting for us.
I guess, but we can get out of it, right? Because you have one of those little gadget things.
No, I lost it. I
Dang.
broke it. Sorry.
Dang, wait, that ruins our entire plan.
Now we have to spend a whole episode trying to escape a planet.
Oh no. Oh, this is okay. Screw this episode. We gotta figure something else out here.
Okay, then let's.
Okay, that was Talladega Nights, everybody.
Talladega Nights with Loki.
Oh man. Sentimentally, I thought that's the best transition of all time. Sentimentally, I thought this was like okay, it's like I need to stop saying that.
No, it's not you saying it. It's the way you said it. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you should know what I'm feeling right now, Zach. Like
Hate?
you can see me. And you can see the expression on my face, so you obviously know what I mean when I say it's okay.
So it's rhetoric?
Yes.
Well, I rhetorically accept and say yes.
Perfect.
I understand.
All right, the message of this movie is don't not have a dad.
Yeah. Is that the message? Wow. That's deeply saddening.
I know, because it's like that's the one thing that you can't control.
Don't not have a dad.
That's what I got out of this movie.
Because, his dad was horrible. And
So
even though he's still horrible, he saves the day.
Yeah, what kind of message is that? It's like your dad who completely messed you up and made you live for the wrong things. Even though he said at one point, he's like, no, that's not what I meant, but that's really what he sounded like he meant.
Well, he was high too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He was high when he said that.
But he still did it.
So
I guess don't not have a dad.
Yeah, don't have a dad that's gonna lead you astray either.
Or don't have a wife that's gonna leave you astray.
Yeah, but you wouldn't pick that person if you didn't have a dad. Well, I guess his mom hopefully would have role modeled the good,
Well, she picked a bad guy.
So I guess then you're gonna pick a bad spouse if your mom picks it.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's how that works. Probably depends on a variety of factors.
Let's
but
give it 10
if you
years.
don't have good role models as your parents, then I don't think you're destined for great things, generally speaking, unless you have some other good influences in your life who can overcome that.
Or you can learn from their mistakes.
Yes, if you can figure out how to learn from their mistakes.
But that takes time.
Right. You don't have to repeat your parents and your friends' mistakes, even though a lot of people end up doing that. I think every kid is like, I'm not gonna do this like their parents, and then when they grow up they do that like their parents,
Yeah.
And some of it's because they realize that what their parents were doing was good,
I'm never gonna spank my children.
And then it's like, I will beat you.
Get in the house before I beat you. Yeah, that's far, but it's just words. It doesn't happen sometimes.
Well, by beat I just mean spank in this context.
I know. That's what I meant.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's any other message other than don't take your friends for granted.
Oh yeah, that was one. You're right. That was one. And then sometimes the girl you want just needs to yell at you.
Yeah.
And come out of nowhere, and then you call her your girl and invite her to Applebee's with your family.
Yeah, sometimes that's the best way to meet a girl, is to just get some girl to sort of give you this berating but also uplifting talk.
Only if it's Amy Adams.
Yeah. I mean, Amy Adams only went uphill from here in her career, I'm pretty sure. So this was the starting ground.
That's weird.
I know, this is a weird starting ground for somebody who, Amy Adams is now considered to be an Academy Award kind of, she only does really artsy, independent, well, not maybe independent, but more artsy movies. She doesn't do she doesn't she doesn't
do the big blockbusters.
She doesn't do Talladega Nights anymore.
Yeah.
The character arcs in this movie are it's basically just Ricky Bobby. And
I don't know. His best friend kind of sort of has a minor arc.
That's true, because he's he doesn't realize he's being taken for granted. Then he takes his friend for granted as retaliation, and then they
Well, he comes around and helps him in the race.
Right. Yeah, but some of it's he's almost just too dumb to even realize that he's hurting his friend or being hurt.
Can you have an arc if you're dumb?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is Ricky Bobby's dumb, but Cal Naughton Jr. is even dumber in this movie.
It's Dumb and Dumber.
It's Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, exactly. Like so some of his character flaws are just not being able to understand what's happening to him. Like he just goes with what's like Carly just came in and took him and he didn't even think about the consequences. He just went along with it, you know?
Yeah, at first.
And then he realized the consequences later. And but fortunately he could, you know, normally if you marry your best friend's ex, that's kind of like a end of your relationship.
Hey, soulmates, Ben. Come on. You never know.
I guess you're right, but in this case, it wasn't. It was just the beginning of an actually, because before their friendship was one-sided, so it was, I don't know that even really counts as a friendship.
I feel like they were like deep friends, but like one of them just was abused or not used and abused and didn't even know.
Yeah.
But I feel like there was a friendship there.
Yeah, there was some like, I mean, they knew each other for a long time, so and there was the whole shake and bake thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like nothing was stopping Cal from necessarily just like not doing what he asked, other than the friendship. I mean, I guess that's what he was holding over his head.
Yeah. But
So,
besides that, there's not really. It's just them two that have like the kids become better kids, but it doesn't really show that process.
the dad certainly doesn't have a character arc.
No.
That's if anything, he gets worse over time.
Neither does the mom.
No, she's just sort of like normal mom.
Or Amy Adams.
Other than she gets more confident in herself.
But even so, like.
You don't really see why.
Yeah.
Other than she got away from like Carly and those toxic people that she was around.
Yeah, but she just shows up at the restaurant.
Exactly. The cinematography and originality, I feel like cinematography was like okay for the time. I mean, they had to do a lot of NASCAR shots, but it's nothing overly impressive or anything. And as far as originality, they have already done NASCAR movies before, so I don't
Like
say
what?
like Days of Thunder. I think I've never watched it, but it was made in 1990, and it was a movie about NASCAR. So therefore, it's not that original. Clearly.
Is that why he said Tom Cruise saved me?
No, that was because Tom Cruise is a Scientologist, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he's just like reverting to that.
Yeah. But you're right, Tom Cruise was Cole Trickle in Days of Thunder.
Well, I did not think the cinematography was that great. Nothing notable.
Nothing notable, no.
It's just a regular...
It'd be like if you were watching NASCAR on TV.
Or like a TV show. Like,
yeah. They did kind of have this live broadcasting vibe.
Yeah, because there were commercials in it.
Yeah, and like they would go back to like the broadcasters every time there was a break in the film and stuff. And they actually used like real NASCAR broadcasters for this.
Real Applebee's commercials.
Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip are like the real guys. Although Darrell Waltrip has retired, but he's like kind of the most legendary. He was also a really good NASCAR driver, won 84 races, a couple championships, but also a legendary announcer. He's known for his boogity boogity boogity, which he used during. They had to throw that in there. He's also in Cars, actually. He's Darrell Cartrip.
Who's the head?
The announcer in Cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is. The Cars came out the same year as this movie.
That's interesting.
So this was a big year for NASCAR movies, although Cars didn't directly, reference NASCAR, but it was clearly based on it.
It was the peak of racing.
Yeah, I would say 2006 was probably the peak of NASCAR, to be honest. It went downhill after that. Like, early 2000s were the golden years for NASCAR. They had sold out seats, and then they, went away from their base and everything, and just all came crashing down. Now nobody watches it except for me.
Not me. Never.
The acting was good. I mean, Will Ferrell is... This is when I'll talk about Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly's career. So, Will Ferrell, this is the part he plays, classically. There's only a couple movies that I've only watched one movie that he didn't play this part.
The Lego Movie.
Well, okay, maybe if you count the Lego Movie. But it's called Stranger Than Fiction, and he plays an accountant who's very straight-laced. And that movie is definitely not the typical Will Ferrell character. I feel like he also did that thing where every comedic actor goes through the phase where they do a serious drama. Like Jim Carrey did it with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Adam Sandler did it with Uncut Gems. They do they do something that's like very serious, but I don't know that he has been really known for anything like that. Like he still did like Holmes and Watson. That was John C. Reilly and him, right? Mm-hmm. That one like bombed. Yeah, basically. I mean, he did Daddy's Home with Mark Wahlberg. Like he's still kind of the same guy. I mean, he hasn't really gone outside of it too much, other than like Stranger Than Fiction. And I mean, was Elf? Would you consider Elf like his big breakthrough part? I mean, I know Zoolander was kind of popular, but he wasn't a main character in that.
It says he was in Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah, I mean that's where people would have known it from.
So,
but as far as
big action, not action, bigger movies,
like
where he's the star.
Movie lead, yeah.
Yeah, probably Elf.
Yeah. So the last thing he did was Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of the Fire Saga, which I think is like a Hulu movie. Never watched it.
That looks really weird.
Looks kind of not good. But John C. Reilly's a really interesting guy because he's somebody who can do a lot of different things, really. Like, I've almost seen John C. Reilly in more serious films than I've seen in non-serious, or in comedies. Because he's in, like, he was in, like, The Lobster.
Yeah, you're right.
And he was in the Paul Thomas Anderson film Magnolia, and he was in Boogie Nights. So he was in, like, two... actually, I think Magnolia is one of my favorite movies, and that's like his best probably role I've ever seen him play. He's like a sort of awkward, like religious police officer who like encounters this girl who's a crack addict with like lots of problems. And that's just like one part of the storyline, but he's really good. I honestly think he might be a more versatile overall actor, but he's just not a lead actor like Will Ferrell is. You know, he can do a lot more things, but he's never gonna be like the guy who's like headlining a movie.
Wasn't he Wreck-It Ralph?
Was he?
I think so.
Maybe I stand corrected. But
that's an animated movie.
That is an animated movie, so you wouldn't be able to tell as much. And that's the Jack McBrayer guy. You're right, He is. I did not realize that. I guess he does probably have a pretty good voice. Anyway,
Ralph has the same forehead as him.
Interesting. Do you think they ever like model animated characters?
Yes.
After the actual people, I mean, they probably do. Now, there's a lot of people who went on to. I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen is. Oh, what was he in? Borat. Yeah. And then he's in like Trial of the Chicago 7 recently. But he sort of does the same. He like does this weird. He has a lot of weird characters like this. Like they're very odd. I've never watched Borat, but like the feeling I got from the movie was that it's just like really strange.
Yeah, it's very off.
Yeah, and Amy Adams, we've like talked about her. She is in like Arrival and American Hustle and Nocturnal Animals, those kind of movies.
Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, she's in The Master, which is a Paul Thomas Anderson movie that I've watched. She was in Catch Me If You Can. Mm-hmm. Was she like she was the flight attendant, right? Or no? The girl that he gets married to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was probably her big thing. But now she's known for being like being very picky about her parts. Where early on in her career, she probably wasn't. I mean, that's generally how it works if you're an actor. Like you're gonna be more picky as you get. She was in Vice too. Actually.
Oh yeah, she was. I forgot she was. Batman, like the Superman stuff.
Although I say she's more picky with her parts in the last two movies that she's been in besides Zack Snyder's Justice League are The Woman in the Window and Hillbilly Elegy, which I've heard not so great things about, both of them. Although apparently Hillbilly Elegy is a book that was written by a guy who lived in like some town in Ohio, so I've heard people talk about him. Alright, that's probably about enough of acting. We didn't really talk about the actual acting, but it
was good.
It was good. That's all you need to know. Style, boring. I mean, it's not boring. If you like NASCAR. Actually...
The style, for me, what I got out of it wasn't the looks of it. It was the dumb nature of the plot.
Actually, I don't think the style was boring. It was actually fairly clever with how they did the TV thing and everything.
True. That too.
So, but you're right. It was like it's supposed to be kind of a dumb thing, so they set you up for all these different scenarios that were not great.
Like a cougar in a car. Like, what even?
Yeah. And as far I don't remember the soundtrack that much, but it seemed like a lot of like 2000s like new metal or
French Paint It Black.
Oh, they had French Paint It Black
By the Rolling Stones, yeah.
Jeez, I didn't really notice that. Probably because it was French.
Yeah, it still did the same beats, except it was a lady too.
I also thought it was funny that you said they had the jazz song on the jukebox and the Pet Shop Boys and Seal. I was like, I mean, I've listened to the Pet Shop Boys before, so I guess I wouldn't fit in with the
I like Seal.
crowd. I don't know that I've listened to Seal much.
You know, Kiss by a Rose?
Yeah, I guess I probably know that. I guess that's not for the people in the Deep South, though. And the choreography, nothing beats John C. Reilly tackling Will Ferrell while he's in underwear, trying to get him to calm down. So it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Or him getting his arm broke, Will Ferrell.
That looked like it hurt.
Or getting attacked by a cougar.
Yeah, it's true.
Or him hitting people with his car.
There's a lot of car sequences that could be counted as
car crashes were pretty cool.
They were pretty awesome.
Within the movie's context.
The whole field got wiped out. I mean, generally, as far as wrecks go, NASCAR wrecks are pretty safe. People usually don't die or get hurt. But there's been a couple instances the last couple of years that have been pretty scary. Mm-hmm. Normally, that's when NASCAR gets the most attention. It's when there's a bad wreck and like it's all over the news then because people are like, "Oh my gosh, this is so terrible. Let's replay it 17 times in a row."
It's like when a basketball player like snaps his leg and his bone sticks out.
Jerry, I cannot believe how bad that was. Let's play that back 10 times in slow motion and watch it.
After this commercial break of Applebee's.
that does happen. I mean, that just shows like injuries become entertainment value.
Anything becomes
I mean, think about it. Football is the most violent sport, or one of them. I mean, I guess maybe fighting is more violent, like MMA. But like people watch it because people could get hurt. If you
Why
really
do you think dying is so common in movies and TV shows? Like in real life, think about how in all the movies and TV shows that you watch, so many people die. Like there's always a character that dies or multiple characters that die. In real life, that doesn't correlate.
No, like people die tragically, but it's like not as much as unless you live in a really bad situation or somehow by.
Yeah, but you don't know as many people as you've seen movies.
That's probably that's absolutely true. And there's usually like apocalyptic scenarios in which like mass amounts of people are getting killed at one time.
Like 2012.
Yeah. Or or like A Quiet Place when there's just like aliens going through the street. I'm like, oh my gosh, all those people just died. Yeah. And they're just moving on with their lives.
Yeah, but nobody cares.
Or it's like you can't do anything. Like we were watching Quiet Place Part 2 again, and I was like, the opening scene, like all these people get like just like killed in the first scene, and you're like why are these people just running away and not doing anything? But you're like, they can't do anything. They don't know what's attacking them. All they can do is run. That does make you feel helpless, which is a good feeling.
Yeah, we all gotta feel helpless sometimes. Puts us in our place.
Exactly. I give this movie a C+.
I agree with you. I saw that a minute ago.
I was gonna give it a B-, but I was like, that might be a little bit too generous.
I don't think I want to give this movie in the B range. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I would watch it again. I mean, I watched it 2 weeks ago, and I was like, when Zach said he wanted to watch it, I was like, yeah, I'll watch it again. He
was about to say no, but
I was like, I told Zach he could pick the movie, so then I was like, I can't go back on my word.
So if you like this movie, please email Ben and tell him that tell Zach to pick again. Zach I'll pick Dinner for Schmucks.
Oh wow, yeah, we should have Burleson on for that one.
He would like that, yeah.
So the Brita moments with Brita.
Mary.
That's gonna be the song that
we're gonna forget that.
We're gonna forget it, or it's gonna go viral on the internet, and then we're gonna become like singers because of it. People will be like,
gotta extend our brand.
Brita moments full version, and then we'll be like, oh, now we're singers, and then after we're famous singers for a while, I'll be like, we gotta act in movies. And then we'll go do that.
And after that, we become stand-up comedians.
Yeah, we're like, hey guys, what's up? I honestly...
Then we get a Netflix special.
Can't be that hard to be a stand-up. I want to be a stand-up who bombs on purpose. I always thought about that. Like, I wanted to say, like, not funny jokes. But I was that would be hard in and of itself. Like it's like ironic, but you're being bad on purpose.
You ain't getting
but I was
Netflix
like,
special.
That doesn't get anywhere though. I don't think unless you really actually convince people that you think you're funny and you come across as not funny. I'm revealing all my master plans today. What am I doing? So the biggest Britain moment is the Fig Newton sign or sticker on his windshield, on Ricky Bobby's windshield. He has this huge Fig Newton sponsorship. It's like, I guess he got more money because of that. And then the wreck happens and it's just gone.
It shows the wreck and the car's flipping and there's nothing on the windshield.
It's like, where did the Fig Newton sign go? Come on, Adam McKay. Pay attention to detail. I saw that in the first time I watched it and I was so frustrated.
Yeah, that makes me mad.
Yeah.
I hate it when continuity isn't...
After watching Breaking Bad, or like a lot of it, it's like continuity is so important. So when you break continuity at all, I'm just...
This isn't Breaking Bad level. We can't like anything else.
Yes, it has to be like as good as the best thing ever. Otherwise, Donnie Darko obviously has complete continuity. It's my favorite movie. Like, there's nothing that you could pick apart with that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
The whole thing is
especially the director's cut. Yeah, that really sums it up.
Yeah, it really shows you everything, doesn't it?
Shows you the pages of the books. It doesn't explain what they mean though.
It's like, here's the book. We'll send you the book with the director's cut, and it's like just the parts that are in the movie. You're like, I wanted a full book.
That's true.
I actually was like, there was a small part of me that thought like maybe Roberto Sparrow was a real person and there's a real book.
That would be cool.
That would have been really cool.
The theory of time travel.
Richard Kelly, come on, man. That would have been way cooler if you would have found somebody who made a real theory of time travel book.
Is that what it's called?
I think it was something like that.
Okay.
So, stock market. I mean, at this point, you would have had to invest in Will Ferrell, right?
I don't know.
Like, he's coming off like 3 of his biggest movies. He's showing no signs of slowing down.
I don't know. I would have... I don't know.
I wish I would have watched every Will Ferrell movie so I could say what the best Will Ferrell movie was.
Do you got time in your life, Ben? How old are you?
I do have time, but I don't think that's a good use of it,
Yes, it is, Ben. It's better than watching other stuff.
Maybe.
I don't know. I guess we'll never know.
Well, I guess we'll never know. Isn't that like a TikTok sound?
Probably.
Everything is a TikTok sound at this point. I mean, people could take a clip from our podcast and make it.
I was about to say, what if they did Britta Moments with Britta Perry, and then there's the background, like they're dancing to it.
Yeah, or they're like, imagine like being like having a podcast and then doing this, and then they play our theme song,
and then
it's
they
like
play
everybody
us right
in the comments is like LL. These guys are posers. I don't even know whether people say poser these days.
Oh, Ben, you just made another meme for them to use. Oh, I just said the word meme. Oh, man.
We're doing ourselves in right here.
We really should be in the 60s.
I'm kind of afraid of saying it, though, because honestly, I don't know whether anybody listens to this point, so we're probably safe.
No, it's okay. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. When we both become famous, then people will look back at these, Ben.
I wouldn't have invested in Adam McKay, but I would have made a mistake.
I wouldn't even invest in 80 Adams.
Yeah, not based on this movie. What about Sacha Baron Cohen?
No, I don't think anyone in this movie I would invest in.
Really? Not even John C. Reilly?
No.
Well, I guess I would invest in John C. Reilly based on other movies, not this movie.
Yeah, when I look at just this movie and think about these characters without the movies that came out after.
Or before.
I would be like, well, after Anchorman, I would have been like, okay, this is kind of the same guy. He's a dummy, very arrogant, very good at his job, though. So it's kind of like... is this guy Ron Burgundy? What's his face?
That's what I was
Ricky
wondering.
Bobby.
Having not watched Ron Burgundy, or Anchorman, I feel like I have less context for how Will Ferrell evolved as or developed.
They're different characters, and he's good at both of them. It's just I don't know if the world needs another one, and they did. They got Step Brothers, which was really good. So.
But according to Rotten Tomatoes, it's not as good as this movie.
It's a cult classic. So I guess we'll just have. I would not invest, and it would be something that I miss out. When I was younger, and I could have invested in my piggy bank in Amazon, but I never did.
Yeah, I could have. But when I saw there was a NASCAR race when I was really young, that Dogecoin sponsored a car.
Really?
It was a long time ago, And I was like, oh, who would ever invest in that? It was like the dog was on the car. And I could have at that point been like, I'm going to invest 20 cents in this. And I would have been like a millionaire now.
Yeah.
And instead, I'm here not being a millionaire.
Yes,
we miss so many opportunities in life. You can't go backwards. But if everyone could go backwards, though, then it would be like
a mess.
Everybody would try to do the same thing, and it wouldn't work.
No, it would be a mess. Everybody would see different variants of each other all the time.
Yeah, that'd be so unbearable. And then I'd probably meet like a girl variant of myself
and fall in love. I would.
Yeah. Zach would definitely. That's the only person Zach could fall in love with.
And then the
variation of himself.
And then the girl. Well, yeah, Loki, same thing. Him and I are one, and she would break my heart, and then open the multiverse. Do
you think Sylvie would be the type of girl you'd be into?
Sylvie? No,
not
Zachy.
Zachy.
I don't know.
Zakia.
I don't know.
Anyway, so make sure you go to our social media accounts at the Movie Vault Pod on Instagram, at Movie Vault Pod on Twitter. Email us at themovievaultpod@gmail.com. And my final conclusion on this film is that it's just, I'll sum it up in 3 words. Shake and bake, baby. That was 4 words, but whatever.
I'll sum it up in 1 word. I already used my word. I said
All right. With that, we're gonna drive the vault door.
Well, one thing. The 1-year anniversary of the Movie Vault is coming up soon, so stay tuned for what we do for that.
Yeah, this is going to be the most exciting thing that happens. We're really going to have to hype this up.
Because we have no idea what we're doing.
Yes. Man, it's crazy. It is actually coming up really soon.
Mm-hmm. So.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, you loyal listener, you silly dog.
Thanks, Mom. This is for you.
This is for all of my relatives who listen to this. Actually, they probably don't. Anyway. All right. Time to drive the vault door shut. IP excellence.